Alright guys, now we're going to talk about entering formulas. Make sure you have your guided practice pulled up. And sheet 7 is your active sheet. You need your gold packet and you need to be flipped to the entering formulas section in that gold packet. Alright, as long as you have your guided practice pulled up from your H drive and sheet 7 is your active sheet, then you have already completed number 1 in the entering formulas activity. Alright, number 2. We are now going to enter these formulas into the specified cell. So A says we are going to add the value that is in A1 plus the value that is in cell B1. And we're going to create this formula in cell A3. So watch me. I'm going to make A3 my active cell. And then remember from your notes, in order for Excel to know that you're ready to do some math, we must first enter in the equal sign. The equal sign is located on your keyboard right next to the backspace key. So, equals. All right, let your mouse do the work for you. So, we want A1 plus B1. Okay, does that look right? So, equals A1 plus B1, and then press enter. All right, so if we look at the values that are in A1 and B1 is 2 plus 24, 26? It sure is. So, let's continue on. Flip the page, and now part B of that section says in cell B4, we are going to create a formula that has D2 minus C1 plus B2. So let's go ahead and make B4 our active cell. And again, the first thing that we need to do to let Excel know that we're ready to do some math is to press the equal sign. So we're going to go D2 minus C1 plus B2. Okay, and before I press enter, I always like to confirm. So let's go ahead and see. All right, D2 minus C1 plus B2. And then another cool thing you can see is, do you see how Excel automatically color codes it for you? So here's D2 in blue, here's C1 in green, and then if I clicked away from B2, so once I press enter, you would see that B2 would be the pink color. So press enter, and voila, there is the answer. All right, so now let's go ahead and make cell C5 our active cell. And in this cell, we are going to have A1 times B2 plus E1 minus D2. So in Excel, the asterisk, which is located above the 9 in your numeric keypad, is what you would use to let Excel know that you wanted to multiply. All right, so again, the first thing that we need to do to let Excel know that we're ready to do some math is enter. And this time we're going to go A1 times B2 plus E1 minus D2. All right, let's just confirm with our sheet. A1 times B2 plus E1 minus D2. Looks good. Press enter. All right, now for part D. We're going to make cell D9. Oops, sorry, I can read. We're going to make cell D6 our active cell, and we are going to create a formula that multiplies C2 by B1 divide by C2 plus A2 minus B2. Oof, they're getting longer and longer, aren't they? All right, but this is good practice. What we're practicing here is a process. All right, step 1, enter in your equal sign. Okay, the second thing that we're taking away from doing this activity is let your mouse do the work for you. Let the mouse do the work for you. So instead of having to type it in manually, click on the cell that contains the value that you are needing. So equals represents that we're ready to do some math. So let's go ahead and build this formula. So C2 times B1 divided by, which I'm just using the backslash key that's located right next to the asterisk on my numeric keypad, C2 plus A2 minus B2. All right, let's confirm that we have it correct. C2 times B1 divided by C2 plus A2 minus B2. And we are putting that data in D6. Enter. I know, that's a lot of typing for such a small number, but hey, that's what Excel says the answer is. All right, so now we're going to make E7 our active cell because we're going to build our formula in E7. This time we are going to practice using parentheses because if you remember, Excel strictly follows order of operations, or as you are familiar with it from your math classes, PEMDAS. All right, so we're going to press equals because again, equals is the first step in telling Excel that you're ready to do some math. So equals, open parentheses. So that's going to be the shift key plus the number 9. In this time, you're going to have to get the parentheses, you're going to have to use the number pad at the top of your keyboard. All right, so it's a frowny face, but not for long because we're going to put some math in there. That was kind of silly. All right, moving on. So C1 plus D2, and then we're going to close our parentheses. All right, and we're going to add open parentheses D1 divided by A1. So now let's go D1 divided by A1. And as the more you enter these formulas, the faster you'll get. We're going really slow just to make sure that you feel comfortable with entering and building formulas in Excel. And now that we've closed our parentheses, we're going to add all of that to cell E2. So plus E2. All right, let's confirm before we press enter. So we have equals equals open parentheses C1 plus D2 close parentheses plus open parentheses D1 divided by A1 close parentheses plus E2. Enter. All right, let's keep on practicing. So now what we're going to do is make F8 our active cell, and this is a doozy. This one's super long, but you'll have plenty of practice of using your mouse. So again, what's the first step in creating a formula in Excel? That's right, entering an equal sign. So equals, open parentheses. So we made our frowny face. Now we're going to do D1 plus A1 times B2. So D1 plus A1 times B2. Now we're going to close our parentheses. And then we're going to subtract and then open our parentheses again. E2 divided by C2 minus B1 times A1, and then close parentheses. So E2 divided by C2 minus B1 times A1. Close your parentheses. And then last but not least, it wants us to add all of that to E1. So plus E1. All right, so again, Excel uses order of operations. So it is going to do everything in the parentheses first, and then it's going to do multiplication and addition as in the order that it occurs. And you know, if you have questions about order of operations, you definitely want to make sure that you come to tutorials to get any extra help that you need in building functions and formulas using Excel. All right, so here is the answer for that big long formula that we just created using Excel. All right, now what we're going to do in cell G9, we're going to write and enter a formula to add cell C2, D1, and E2. We're then going to divide that answer by cell B1, and then we're going to subtract cell D2. Remember, Excel follows order of operations. So this time I'm not giving you the formula. I want you to figure it out. So let's go ahead and activate G9. And let's break it down. Well, we know the first thing that we need to do is put in our, that's right, equal sign. So equals. And we are going to open our parentheses because I know I want to group together the addition of C2 plus D1 plus E2. Okay, that's the first part of the word problem here. It says, enter a formula that adds cells C2 plus D1 and E2. So, C2 plus D1 plus E2. And then we're going to close our parentheses. All right, so whatever answer we get here, we want to divide that by B1. So, backslash, and then B1. And then last but not least, we're going to subtract cell D2. So, minus D2. All right, does that make sense? All right, let's go ahead and press enter. And guys, it is okay to get a negative number in Excel. All right, but if you get a negative number, you know you did it right. Okay, because we followed the word problem exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and do the last step. Let's format the answers for steps 2A through 2G as currency with 2 decimal places. So let's go ahead and start with 3A, or A3, I'm sorry. And then we're going to go down to G9, back to our Home tab, and we're going to change that to currency. All right, and that is building formulas in Excel. Go ahead and save, and then you'll make sheet 8 your active sheet. And next, we're going to talk about using functions.